And we're live.
Okay.
We're live. Gentlemen, thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you very much, Gabi.
Welcome to this very special edition of AmberCast, where I'm joined by Mr. Jaime Gine, Mr. Mihai Pohonţu. And we're gonna do a oops, there it is. We're gonna do a very special announcement. This is gonna rock the world. We're gonna talk about Fama Vecchia. We're gonna talk about the current state of the industry. We're gonna talk about who you two gentlemen are. This is my first podcast with two very important gentlemen from the industry. I've only done some with Mihai, so I'm double nervous right now. I'm just kidding. So, would you like to take 1 minute and introduce each other? Because this is going to be a fun exercise. You want to start, Mihai?
Absolutely. So, first of all, it's really good to be back at AmberCast. You know, it feels like every time we have one of these, something major happens in our universe. I really enjoyed the last one, by the way. That one will be one for the history books. We talked about culture the entire time.
It's the best one we did this year, but this one's going to be better.
Well, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me again. And it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce my friend Jaime Gine, Amber's new CEO. Or should I say... Wait.
What?
Was that faint surprise or that was so well rehearsed, Gabi?
Wow.
Like I'm so impressed. Gabi's a great actor, so yeah, good stuff. Well, obviously we just had a town hall and we introduced Jaime to our crew, and you know, last Friday we introduced Jaime to the leadership team, and obviously quite a few of us in the Amber executive team have been talking to Jaime for some time. But my history with Jaime goes all the way to 2007. Actually, I think it was 2006 when you first visited Romania. You came and visited with Sharon, and I think the reason that you visited Romania is that you were curious about, you know, EA Romania and
yes.
like what, you know, it could potentially offer to the international development services that you were running at EA at the time. Jaime is a consummate professional and has a wealth of extraordinary experience in games and outside of games as well. I believe you started in software development and then IPO'd the company, and then moved on to EA at some point and ran a very large division. I think you had 600, 700 people. You were responsible for localizing all the products that EA was producing at the time and then for many years onwards. You also handled other services like certification and mastering, I believe you were handling at some point.
We should at some point explain what mastering is to the children.
Absolutely. The brief definition is that mastering is creating builds of games on physical media.
Yes.
But
or virtual media. Yeah.
And, you know, Jaime then went on to become the chief customer officer at Keywords at a time when the company was churning maybe 50 million in revenue. And lo and behold, I was looking at the investor preview of Keywords financial results, and they are like over $500 million.
I cannot comment on that.
Not even in this safe place called AmberCast?
Safe place, no.
Okay, well, those are, you know, public analyst sentiment interpretations. I'm sure the Keywords
And
will
I'm sure
announce.
that the analysts are right, because they usually are.
They usually are pretty close. And what matters here is the 10x growth that you oversaw during your tenure at Keywords.
Yeah.
And we should tell people what Keywords is, because Keywords is the biggest agency for game development right now.
Guys, I should be telling these things. He's getting half of it wrong.
We're introducing you.
That was my best shot at introducing Jaime. But look, all of these professional details are important, obviously. But what matters most is what Jaime brings to the table at a personal level. Like, I know and appreciate Jaime the professional, but I love Jaime the human being. Jaime is a really decent person with a really big heart. And I think he sets the standard of an enlightened executive. I think that's very rare for people of your stature in any industry to have the heart that you do, the love for the people, the desire for all of them to be successful and satisfied. And I have to say that I remember from back in the day, from EA's Madrid International Development Center, the staff there felt motivated, felt optimistic. The place felt progressive and high tech and innovative. All testament to your great skill.
Welcome to Amber.
Welcome to Amber.
Yeah. By the way, these are non-alcoholic drinks. In Amber.
Tea.
Yes, tea. In Amber. Okay. Also, no pressure on
Right.
you. After that speech, no pressure on you introducing Mihai.
Yeah,
Should we pour you another cup of
no,
non-alcoholic
I think
beverage?
this is fine. Mihai is my friend, and has been my friend for more than a decade. We have had enormous pleasure working with each other and actually learning from each other most of the time when one of us fucked up, because the other would say, hey, we shouldn't do that, right? And we just did great things together by trial and error and by like taking risks, things that were different at the time, you know, and I just felt this enormous respect because, yeah, I'll talk to you as a professional in a minute, right? But I don't want you to trump me on this. You're a phenomenal guy, Mihai. You really are. You know, you truly feel everything that you say at the minute that you're saying. I haven't seen you be fake or to go and try stab somebody in the back or to do any of those corporate things that you and I have witnessed in, of course not in EA, but in many other Fortune 500 companies that we've worked in. So yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I did meet Mihai, 2006, 2007, with the Jumdan acquisition. Bunch of us were kind of sent to see what the hell is going on in Romania, and what I saw in Romania was a team that just wanted to do stuff, like a lot of stuff, wanted to do faster, and we're wondering why are we not doing it already? Why are we talking about this? Why? And then we became colleagues on Central Development Services. I think we built probably the best central services organization with the help of Maria and with the help of others that the world has ever seen, and frankly, I'm very proud of those years. I think that when we parted ways, of you off to Disney, I off to Keywords Studios, we started to get skill sets that were different from each other, which I was amazed. Every time that I called him, I said, so what's going on there? Oh, I met this guy and that guy, and this is what we're doing. And I thought, okay, I'm learning 2 careers here. I'm learning from what he's doing. I'm learning from what I'm doing. I was privileged to be, to witness that. And on my part, I think, you know, regardless of whatever the numbers are, and yes, Keywords Studio is done at 20x, 30x value, and multiplication in 5 years. There's no question of that. I learned how to deal with complexity. You know, game development is already pretty complex in itself, and you know, if you add, you know, 46 different studios, 10 acquisitions per year, and stuff like that, it really becomes complex. And I had to kind of simplify, and I kept coming back to the same thing. It's all about the people, stupid. It's all about the people, stupid. Keep it simple. Get the best talent. Trust them to do it, right? And look, I have had many people that have influenced me, but the people message that I got from this guy,
All right.
you know, and that was a long time ago. And I had 10 years on you at the time, by the way. Anyway, sorry, that's enough
We
of an
should-
introduction.
Yeah, but you touch on something which is very interesting, and I want to open a conversation with both of you towards why it's important to take care of people. And sometimes maybe people in the audience will get this wrong. It's not about pampering people. This is very important. It's about getting the right people. It's about sometimes you need to
Yeah, I
pressure
was
them.
going to say,
Sometimes you
taking
need to take
care of
them.
people sounds paternalistic. That's not
It's
it.
not it,
No,
is it?
that's not it. No, empathy is very important. You need to try to figure out how the other guy is feeling, right? And I think that is also very important. But it's also the challenge, right? I don't know about you guys, but in my values, I look for opportunities to learn, because opportunities to learn means that I grow, and whether that growth comes from success or failure, imposter both, as Rudyard Kipling would say. Sorry about that, I'm a terrible geek. It doesn't really matter, you know. You do learn lessons, and that's basically at the core of it. I move now with all my being, because I like to be with people that are trying to do different things and grow. With people that are trying to not just repeat 1% more efficiently what that guy did. That's necessary, don't get me wrong, we absolutely need to do that, but what really moves me and gets me up in the morning is when, you know, we go to those 100x, and my friend Mihai here is pretty good at dreaming big, you know. He was already good when we were nobodies. And
we still are nobodies.
You know, I don't know, if you ask my kids, they will tell you that I'm pretty awesome.
Yes,
My
of course,
mom
man.
also. My mom has a really high opinion of me, and yes. No,
Good job, Jaime.
and there's more people. I'm gonna be able to find out who they are soon. But yes. My mom and kids definitely, yeah.
Awesome.
So you guys go back to EEA. Were you part of Jamdat prior to EEA? Both were part of Jamdat.
No,
prior to
only
you?
I was.
Okay.
The reason Jaime was visiting is because EA happened to acquire Jamdat, so it was kind of a due diligence trip, you know, to see what's happening in Romania. And, you know, frankly, if we can support the service infrastructure of EA at large. And, you know, it was really great to receive you. And you were there with Sharon Knight,
Yes.
who ended up maybe a year later becoming my manager.
My very
Hey, Sharon.
admired Sharon Knight, by the way. Yeah. This guy and I, we were like terrible with numbers. Not after Sharon, right?
Yeah, well, I'm still a lesser financial wizard than you are. So I think you've been a much better
Are you
understudy.
kidding me? Are you telling me that CEOs are not good with numbers? What's it?
Well, no. It's. I mean, you have to be quite astute in this. It depends what you mean by good with numbers.
Yes.
You know, derive satisfaction from spending time with Excel? No.
Yes.
There we go. Yes.
Operational excellence, right here.
No. It's not about that. It's I like to understand the building blocks of everything, right? And wow, the building blocks of creativity are really difficult to pin down. Okay, but the building blocks of making the space for creativity, which is basically make enough money so we can take risks, that is a little bit easier, you know, and it gives me a little bit of peace of mind that I can put those building blocks so we can build weird stuff on top of it.
So speaking of building blocks, speaking of getting operational excellence, is there going to be why are we doing this? Is there going to be a change in Amber? Is there going to be a massive change? Are we looking at new strategy? What are the changes that are coming to Amber?
Well, we are on this growth continuum.
Oh, and we should also talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, we should also talk about before we go on this. You're not quitting.
I am definitely
Jaime
not
joins
quitting.
as a CEO, but you're
Yes.
not quitting.
This is an addition, not as a a replacement
Yes.
scenario. I will be moving on to an executive chairman role. It is not uncommon in the corporate world. I actually did a little bit of homework on this because I wanted to explain to people, okay, this is not weird.
Here's my new job.
And then I looked at what happened in the corporate world internationally in the last month. So, I found in the early July that Instagram's founder basically took on an executive chairman role and onboarded a very talented executive from Facebook in the CEO role. Or more famously, Jeff Bezos gave up the CEO role to one former Amazon executive, and he became the executive chairman.
Yeah. We're sending Mihai to space.
Yes. I'm playing with the Mecca.
I don't have a space hobby, so that's okay.
How will you say voluntarily?
Plus, I have a feeling that let me put it this way. I have a feeling that the next period of time, if anything, will require even more of my focus and investment.
Yes.
Than what has happened until now. So I have no hope of Jaime relieving me of the pressure of my duties. Au contraire, I'm bracing for impact, because what Jaime will bring to us is an acceleration of our plans. We're walking on this path, and you're like, hey, how does anything change at Amber? I mean, many things are going to change, but they are going directionally. We are already on a super highway to success. And we just want to make sure that we have all the experience and the wisdom and competency within our company to be able to operate in the bigger leagues. And that's really why we invited Jaime to join us. Also, I really wanted to work with him, with the man and the professional.
Yeah, same here. I thought this is scary. What we're gonna do is a little bit scary, because we're gonna go outside of our comfort zone. We're gonna go into speeds that go beyond the speed of light, and we're gonna be out of our comfort zone. And you want like somebody that you like to be there with you. I was actually reading. You've got this wall there that talks about
The
great
recognition
people,
wall.
the recognition wall that you had here in the company. I was reading the details there, and I read something that really resonated with me, that had to do with this thing of getting out of your comfort zone, where it says going out of your comfort zone at the beginning is scary, and then it's chaos, and at the end it's awesome. What I will say is, if you do that with your friend and the people that you love, it's also fun all the way from day one to the last day.
Absolutely.
It also builds relationships. Going out of your comfort zone builds relationships, because you go through a lot of difficult shit together. Going out of your comfort zone is super important. Yeah, but on the other hand, you guys known each other for what? 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, the going out of the
15 years,
comfort zone is doing extraordinary things for us, not working with each other. Like, that part is super easy.
That bit is the reassuring bit. I mean, maybe I didn't convey that clearly.
But yeah.
No, we have very few doubts about that. We worked together in many different circumstances before. We work as colleagues. I worked for Mihai directly, his iron hand, very
Wrapped in a silk glove.
Absolutely the opposite of that. He was kind of a soft touch kind of guy. No, we know how to work together. We know how to not offend each other, and we have very strong opinions, both of us, and we do get into differences of opinions, and they do get really creative, and we've never ever gone to a bad place. Not even like, fuck you, I'm gonna go to the toilet, count to 10 and come back. Not even that. And I don't know why that is. If I had that secret sauce, I would like to, but somehow I just respect everything that Mihai says. Even if I think it's ridiculous, but I keep thinking, think about it again, because there must be something that you're not seeing. And I have a feeling that, well, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for you. What makes you put up with me?
I think it's a chemistry to a large extent. We're just compatible. Somehow we come from the same place. there are some also some indelible elements, things that you do or like that I also absolutely like. So, I think we make a great team. We leave it to the professionals to hyper-analyze why we're compatible. I'm just
I'll
happy that we are.
I'll give you guys the girls' explanation of this. What's your sign?
Scorpio.
What's your sign?
Aries.
Oh, there you just put.
Oh, there you are.
That is true. Those are compatible.
I don't. I have no idea.
They actually are compatible.
But
according to
let's talk a bit about Amber. So Amber is on its way to become the agency of choice, where Amber is looking to set a foothold in all the major areas of game development within the next 10 years. You guys are going to be headed this, so you're going to be spearheading this initiative. How are you splitting your roles? What does the chairman do? What does the CEO do?
Well, we work together on most everything, but we do have some areas of focus. I will be looking very carefully at innovation, community, and growth. And innovation doesn't really need to be explained. Obviously, anything that we do in the area of innovating in game development, maybe it's like attempting a new genre or a new game mechanic, but it goes beyond that. And I strongly believe that us as game developer have an opportunity to create value in other industries by bringing our skills over. So I believe that is a very fertile ground, the intersection of different domains, very fertile ground for us to pursue innovation. Also, in community, we believe that Amber is the center of a creative ecosystem, and we've cultivated this. For example, in Romania, we've cultivated this by making investments in indie studios. We have, supported the local game dev community. There are a series of partner companies that we are working very closely with that we consider to be part of our ecosystem. And we want to establish the same kind of presence in other emerging markets that we are part of, and to also contribute meaningfully to the very mature development community in places like the US and Canada and perhaps others where we also have studios. And so, community is super important for us. It is actually one of our values. We have been catalyst to its formation, but especially legislation is different in different countries, but in Romania it's completely independent. It's an autonomous entity. It actually doesn't even have board directors associated with Amber. But Amber will continue to work through these outfits, because what nonprofits can do is they can tap into funding and resources that is not commonly available to a for-profit company. So we expect or hope that we can match the funds that we're investing in community with other sources of financing. That's part of the logic of establishing Arden. We also thought that since Arden is trying to invest in 3 major areas: in education for people outside of Amber's creative ecosystem, education for high school or college students, also cultural programs such as public art that attempts to create a social good in some fashion, or showcasing the beautiful work that is done by artists in the game space. And lastly but not least, actually very important, the investments that we make directly into indie game studios, not just offering them money to sustain themselves, but even more importantly, offering them services and guidance, so they can publish their work on and find commercial success. I mean, really, that's what it is. We reach a certain quality standard and find commercial success. If we can be part of that journey, it would be very validating to Amber, to the core ideology of Amber, right, where community is represented as a state value. And currently Arden exists in Romania, in Mexico, and in the US. It's not linked. It's not a single international organization. I don't even know how that would look like in practice for a nonprofit.
Yeah, to be interesting.
But we do have the presence, and each of these locations are running their own community programs. And what we're hoping is that we can, import some of these experiences from one city to another, and therefore create a global movement.
Well, yes, and we should also talk about the halo effect that comes with this, right? Because on one hand, you've got actual impact that Arden has on creating a space for artists to represent themselves, coming in with educational product. But that also means that there's probably going to be other people looking in and say, oh, look at what those guys are doing. I'm going to try and do the same. And that basically grows the community and grows the ecosystem, which is amazing. So Arden is in many ways a catalyst as well.
Yes.
I am very passionate about all this because, frankly, what I want us is to be associated with bringing good to the community. We are we do go to places where there is no background of digital artistry or very little of it, and we can push that forward. And I can see it already, and it may not be Guadalajara, but it may be a little town that is close to it. I think we have Borosan. I think we have so many things that we can do, and we can do that hand in hand with the Amber Foundation. With the Arden Foundation. I think that is, very passionate about that.
You remember how we were discussing? So we were discussing Bruce Springsteen, and we were discussing, what's his name? The other guy, I always forget his name. He got a Nobel Prize.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
You're discussing Bob Dylan, right?
You forgot Bob Dylan.
But I think the reason I wanted to bring that up is because Bob Dylan and all that generation grew in a time of cultural exuberance.
Yes.
And everybody was doing something, and that's how, well, except for, they were also doing a ton of drugs, but they were engaging in just feasts of beautiful artistry. And that kind of makes, if Mihai goes into doing something, then I'm going to look at him and say, oh, look at that guy, and maybe I'm going to start playing guitar, and then you're going to start playing guitar.
Yeah.
And boom, you got Jimi Hendrix, you got Bob Dylan, you got drugs.
You know what? I'm gonna stop you here because I do have a very high opinion of Mihai and myself. You're talking about Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan. That's not.
I think
we aspire to lift the Jimi Hendrixes and Bob Dylans
That's right.
are in Amber or in the communities that we are. We are not that. We are fun, not boring, fun guys. But we just want to push a little bit.
We want to live
that talent.
our true roles as enablers and supporters of the arts. I mean, this is one of the reasons that we're placed here, and this is part of the responsibility that I feel, and that is powering Amber's continued support of nonprofit initiatives. I thought that it was important that we have this thing in our DNA, that we, from inception, we wanted to stand out in that fashion. And I remember, we were a really small company when we started this, maybe 5 million in annual revenue. And actually, at the time that we started our community initiatives, we lost money hand over fist due to a confluence of events, which we've talked about in other AmberCasts. And yet we still did it. And, the most fantastic expression of that was not, Amber coming in with a pile of money and donating to a cause, which is, that's important too. But because we were so broke at the time, we were simply donating our time through volunteer events, I remember us going and planting a forest at one point. We actually planted a forest. I would love to visit and see how it looks grown
not
up.
enough time.
but look, it was wonderful that we started it. We were doing it at a time where we're not endowed. Now we are getting a little bit better. The company is larger. We're earning more profit. Our intent is to tithe this profit into community initiatives. Fantastic. As the company grows, the way we're going to impact society in all the places where we have a presence will be so much more meaningful. It's almost like Amber is a capitalist experiment with a social foundation.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And frankly, to kind of bring that back to the original question, we're going to focus on the things that we're passionate about. And if you heard Mihai talking about Arden, you will have seen the passion shining through. He's also passionate about innovation. He's passionate about growth. I'm stuck with the numbers. It's not that I'm passionate about the numbers, but I am passionate about people. So I'm going to have a lot to do with talent. Mihai and I are going to be working a lot together on product development. We are going to be working a lot together on operational excellence. We are going to be working on, well, finding all the money that will make this possible, which is another skill set that we are going to have to develop over the next couple of years, and where I hope that I can help a little bit this company. So we dream big, and we want to have an impact on our communities, and we want to do it together with our friends and our people. I said in the town hall before that have 25 years on the games industry. I think the very first game that I was involved with was Final Fantasy VII localization into German or something like that.
I remember that game.
And of course you remember that game because you are a gamer.
Yes.
Yeah, you were not born then, but yes, okay. There's a very good remake, by the way. I encourage you to play it. And
He just doesn't age, Jaime. I mean,
oh,
you'll find this thing in Romania over and over
It's
again.
the non-alcoholic beverage that we're drinking.
yes, it is exactly that. So 25 years, and I feel that I'm at home here. Everything that I wanted to do, which is especially work with friends, try new things, have an impact on the community, and I love games. This is what I love to do. This is not for any of us, for you, Gabi, for Mihai, for the guys over there behind the cameras. We are not here on our way to be bank managers, right? We're here because this is our destination job. This is what we've really worked really hard and made a lot of sacrifices and took crap salaries to do, right?
Oh,
why we were testers, at some point in our careers, with whatever.
How did you get in the industry?
Me?
Yeah. Did you
Oh,
join
I
as a
needed
QA
money
engineer?
to go out.
What
No,
was your first
seriously,
job?
by pure chance, I was in software development. I was a gamer from very early on, and suddenly I got a client, Microsoft, and I actually got what was called back then the Kids and Games division, and in that company we were a product and services company, so we had this workflow system that was automated and all that, and I got Microsoft. Microsoft at the moment, well, they were doing like my favorite game at that time, which is Age of Empires.
Oh wow! I remember that game.
Oh God, of course
I
you remember
used to
that
skip
game.
school to play that
And
game.
they had this secret project that they wanted to do called the Xbox, and that was their secret project.
Small secret
it was
project.
a secret project, and that was that. But it was just by pure chance because of the company that I was working with. My clients were. I don't know, eBay, of the newfangled, but it was also Oracle, it was Civil Systems, it was a lot of companies that had to do with financials and CRM and stuff like that. But there were these few beautiful games companies, and I thought, as soon as I get enough money, I'm gonna do that.
What was your first job? Because I know Mihai started as a QA lead. You started as a QA lead
Translator.
or as a QA manager?
Spanish
No, I
translator.
started as a QA tester.
You started as a QA tester. You started as a translation
Spanish
translator.
translator, but I
You
was a
started
QA
as
tester too.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
because-
fact, I spent like 3 months in Florida testing the Linux client of backup software. this is totally
You had
true.
no, but the only plan was I'm going to get into the industry, right? You didn't like I'm going to build it, because this is what's interesting to me. Most of the kids that I know have their careers lined up, and they're going, I'm going to study this, and then I'm going to get a job over there, and then I'm going to, here's kind of like my career. I don't know anyone in the game industry who went in the industry and had a plan. Like for me, I remember playing a game on Windows 3X. You guys remember that? We were
Yes.
playing and there were people who were playing Doom, and I remember this is my only memory connected to games as a kid. I think I was maybe 6 or 7. I had seen a computer at my mom's workplace, I was like, all right, so it would be really interesting. I knew that there was computer programming, but I didn't really know what that entailed. And I was thinking to myself, man, it'd be really cool if I could somehow write games. I didn't know what writing games. I just knew that they came on a disc, and I could envision myself taking the disc out of the PC and giving it to people. And that's my earliest memory of thinking about going into the game industry, but I have no plan whatsoever.
I wanted to be a writer, and I had a skill, which was that my English was pretty good. I was a very good translator, and I really like technology, really like technology. So I got into localization, and I made a lot of money with that, right? And then, but that was like clinking money, but that's not creative writing, saying, press escape if you want to go to the next screen, whatever. That's not it. And then I started, so what kind of creative writing is there in the digital space, which is basically where I wanted to be. And I kind of found games professionally, because as a gamer, I had been playing games for like 10 years, we didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't get the coolest consoles and all that, but I was very lucky because my parents did believe in a digital education. They got us a PC, a personal computer from IBM, really early, and I remember my father saying, we've made a lot of sacrifices for this is almost as expensive as the car. Like that thing,
Yeah.
and we just revered the thing and played Gauntlet like there was no tomorrow.
That was the thing.
And then I got interested in programming,
Yeah.
taught myself a little bit of programming, and then got into this other startup, and then a couple of projects came in that were interesting, and the rest of it is history. I pretty much every skill set that I tried to acquire, I didn't use in the games industry. I really didn't. But no, it is a destination job. It's a passion play.
It's passion
It's a
play.
passion play.
It is. I mean, it's you've been doing it for the past 25 years. You've been doing it for what, 20 years?
My first job in the game space was in 1999, so 22 years.
22 years ago.
So actually, it's 1997 for me. So it's not that much more in games.
God, you guys are old.
We started at -10, so we're still fairly young.
Love you too. I'm not sure if love is the 4-letter word that I'm looking for, but Hey.
Wait a minute, Gabi. You are up there in.
I started 17 years ago. Let's switch the subject.
Okay, we just outed each other.
Going back to the what you're gonna do. You mentioned you're gonna do a lot of community, a lot of innovation. We should also talk about, by the way, because people think that innovation is NFTs and blockchain. We should talk a bit about that.
Innovation is anything. NFTs and blockchain for sure. I don't know. Should we kind of share our inner thoughts about?
No, but hang on.
Innovation is a new game.
Innovation is a new game. Innovation is essentially taking two concepts that have nothing to do with each other, putting them
That's
together.
one way of describing it, but
and making it work.
Innovation is something that you've never done before, and I don't know. There is innovation that has to do with doing something that 100 other people in different countries have done, but you don't know about that person innovation is doing. We're gonna try new things. That's what innovation is, and we will fail a lot, but we will be learning along the way, and hopefully we will, contribute to the body of knowledge and to just taking the discipline one level farther, and discipline, the art. Let me call it the art. One step beyond.
It is art. It is art in many ways. I mean, just creating something out of nothing is pure art. Look, since we're going into innovation, and I know that you guys are very, very into this, Facebook is the second player that's coming in with a metaverse concept.
You mean after us?
Well, no, after Epic. But
yeah, okay.
But what is I think Mihai, this is a question for you because obviously this is going to be under your tutelage. What is Amber's vision for innovation? I know that you're very much in love with the metaverse.
Well, first of all, don't credit Epic and now Facebook for the metaverse. We credit Neil Stephenson, like first and foremost. And certainly there have been many different expressions.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Crash, yeah.
And there have been many different expressions of the metaverse in recent history, including companies that have attempted this in various ways. I think Epic and Facebook are the ones that are doing it at scale and as actually a core of their company strategy at this moment. I salute that. That is fantastic. I hope that they will be our partners in this search, in this quest to establish the metaverse. I do think the blockchain is an important component. It allows for transferable and secure units of value. So I think any metaverse economy will probably need to leverage this in intelligent ways. But also, frankly, the blockchain goes far beyond the metaverse. It has something to do with the real reality of being able to acquire and hold a digital asset.
Original digital asset, which is very important, which is something unheard in the space up to now.
Yes, I think it opens wonderful opportunities for digital artists to monetize their work in ways that they were not able to do so previously.
Yeah.
So it's exciting times, and it's exciting to consider that these virtual assets that we have generated in games have transferable value into another game, another world, and you can also trade it with your friends and sell it at hopefully a high return on investment. So.
Yeah, well, I'm in love with the what's it called? NBA Top Shot concept. That is amazing. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't heard that.
They're essentially saying, well, here's a clip of your favorite NBA player unwinding as he's shooting the best hoop in the history, and it's unique, and only you will hold it. It's stored on your cell phone.
Yeah.
You can trade it. You can obviously trade it. There's always going to be Pokemon around. We're always going to be trading Pokemons. And they're just killing it right now.
We will definitely always be trading Pokemons.
Right?
Yeah.
We will always be trading cards. We've been doing that for so many years.
We were trading Pokemons even before Pokemon was invented.
That's because we were poor.
No, it's because trading cards were invented before Pokemon. But yes,
but coming from Europe,
and we were poor.
No, I think the applications are endless, Gabi, and you gave one, and I think that is a brilliant application of blockchain and NFT, but it's ultimately the concept, and Mihai talked about this, of offering value to the digital artists. If ultimately the digital artist cannot get the value of their passion and their work, then the art dies. We've seen this in history happen again and again, and I believe this is what is going to be taking digital art to the next stage. And I think that we will see it happening in games too. I think this will be a whole ecosystem. Well, we've been working on that, right?
Already. Yes.
We should be talking about that. How do you envision this? So just keep going, because I
Google and Facebook are listening.
And they're happy that they've been mentioned in the AmberCast.
Yes. No, right now innovation for us, yes, is cool things like blockchain and the metaverse and whatever technologies we can develop. But I also want to break a lance for old-fashioned new IP. Yes, creating a new world that people are gonna be enjoying, right? And for us, that is also innovation. Is creating something new and creating. What did you say? Creating something from nothing, right?
Yes.
And the beauty about our art also is that it is a collaborative art. I think that's what makes us different from a lot of the art forms in the past. You know, it's not you, Gabi, creating those incredible games that you guys create. It's the whole of Avalon.
It's the whole of Avalon. Oh, you should see what we do in Avalon.
Yeah, well,
speaking of innovation, like you should see what we do in Avalon, and you should see what we do in Avalon. I'm not kidding. Like we're gonna show you a prototype, but let's talk a bit about pure, like good old-fashioned, iterative, like you say, original IP and iterative innovation, and kind of just adding something on top, because that's another way of innovating.
Yes.
Which is just as beautiful and just as difficult to do as creating something new from the get-go.
Yeah, not as Pokemon Go, right?
Right.
They just added that little something.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I love making casual games, because it's so difficult to do something that appeals to the masses and that takes a certain recipe and just makes it just slightly better. I mean, people have very little understanding to how difficult it is to make a brilliant match 3. It's so difficult to do. And I was looking, speaking of innovation, I was looking at the Royal Match game that just came out. That is just beautiful. That is a clockwork jewel of a game that innovates just in the right places. They slightly tweaked, they brought together the match 3 formula, and they mixed it with the Pauper formula.
Yep.
And they made a very simple meta. Now that game is top 20.
Yeah.
Fucking those guys are killing it. And they're from Turkey. Like no one imagined that.
There was profanity there.
Bravo. It wouldn't be an AmberCast without some profanity or drug talk.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
There's a lot of goodness coming out of Turkey right now, which is
God, there
incredible.
is a whole explosion, in my opinion, because it's not just that game and that team, it's all the offshoots that have kind of grown. Mihai was talking about community. That's a very good example of community. You know, the talent was there, the soil was there, but you just needed those seeds, ting, 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 to get all the flowers
You mentioned this, right? We were talking last week. You mentioned that these guys are all peak. They're all peak games.
Peak, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
Not
is
all
it?
of them.
Not all of them.
No,
A good portion of that.
a good portion of them.
But can you guys see like a pattern forming over there? Like not the pattern, but can you see the recipe? Is it essentially the executives at peak that leave the company and just start creating their own companies, and so it grows?
I don't know what the recipe is.
Yeah.
What I know is that when you learn to do different, difficult, complex things, and that you learn that if you take a risk, sometimes you win, then you start taking risk, and then sometimes you fail, and sometimes you win. So it's not about geniuses or whatever. It's about very normal people thinking, wow, so I can go left where everybody went right, and I will fail often, but sometimes I will succeed. And having everything else that supports that, right? I remember when we founded Carbon, and Mihai, you know, we felt that there is this soil and these seeds, and that these people, you know, these Eastern European developers didn't have access to capital or to actually basic principles of how to ship a game, and we invested in that, not really to make money because we lost a fistful of money there, but that's the kind of thing that is worth doing, right? And I believe success breeds success because it breeds bravery to do the things that have not been done before. If we manage to, not just Mihai and me, but you and and Yasin over there, and all the rest of the people that have a say on how Amber is run, which is pretty much everybody. If we allow people to fail, we're gonna get some great shit done.
I love that. I love that.
It's not original, but it's deeply felt.
Well, if we allow people to fail and learn from it.
If we allow people to fail, then people will take risk. If you don't take risk, then what you gonna do?
You cannot innovate.
Yeah, you cannot innovate.
That's the death knell. And also,
Yeah,
it's probably not going to be in a great place as a company or as an enterprise, even.
No.
Yeah.
No. This is not just beliefs. This is we live this stuff. We don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you guys just came together when I said, well, they need to learn, and you were like, yeah, but they also you need to take risk, because like in my mind, learning is very important. I really like. I don't know who said this, but he said that the unobserved life is not worth living, which is beautiful. Like,
Plato.
in my mind, yes.
Actually,
Great
I don't know if
band.
it's Plato, but I like these like quotes on the internet. There's like random stuff, and then Plato or Aristotle. Yeah.
Haji.
Haji, yeah, Gheorghe Hagi. For those of you who don't know, Gheorghe Hagi is the greatest footballer that Romania ever produced.
Yeah,
the world.
played in Real Madrid.
Yeah.
In the world, but I do think
Sorry, let me repeat that. Played in Real Madrid,
that
okay?
you're from Madrid.
Yeah. There are various teams in Madrid, and they are all very, very worthy of respect. Like there is only one that has won pretty much everything that there is to win. I am a Real Madrid supporter, a crazy,
Barcelona.
crazy one.
Barcelona.
Yeah,
right?
Barcelona is not a team from Madrid. I'm gonna tell you something, okay? I am a Spanish guy that is half Catalonian and half from Madrid. My surname Gine is from Catalonia, and my other surname is and I have 8 surnames from Catalonia and 8 surnames from Castilla, and I love both teams. I know this sounds ridiculous, but the last 10 years for me, Barcelona just showed us the best football that you can play. And I am a fanatic Real Madrid supporter. Let's be clear about that. I want my team to win every time. Anyway, enough about football.
Yes, I will not get into this argument with you. Just step away. I'm not even. I didn't know any football until I had joined EA, and then all of a sudden we had to do FIFA. And I
Oh
was like,
God, yes.
Oh yes.
The kind of same thing happened to me.
But it was amazing. It was such a brilliant experience, because I had no clue that the FIFA was so big. But that's like a totally different, because I learned everything. I didn't even know how you got to do a penalty shot. I had no clue whatsoever. But then I learned. We did FIFA Superstars. That did great. And then, all right, that was it for me. I want to get back to what is your role. So if Mihai is going to be looking at innovation, is going to be looking at community. I think you briefly touched on this.
Yeah.
You painted this vision of creating a space where people are able to innovate, where people are able to make mistakes, they're able to learn, they're able to take risk.
So that space that you're talking about, that's a culture basically. Culture is something that both Mihai and I are going to be doing together. We do want to have the kind of free environment that allows creativity to flourish. If you want to be more specific about the things that I'm going to do, with everybody's help, right? I'm going to be, looking at how we are organized, our financials. I'm going to see how we can talk to the capital markets and make them understand our vision and the ambitions that we have. I'm going to try to see whether we can attract some talent that knows a little bit more about this part of the business. And I will be working with Mihai also on kind of delineating the future. We are doing this. How can we do this? What is it that we would love to do that we are still not doing? I think it's going to be a very much a team effort. As Mihai said, this is supposed to be additive and not substitutive, right? We want to continue to do all the things that are being done. I want my work to be on top of what all the company is already and contributing. And by the way, we haven't talked about Brian. Today we're also announcing another phenomenal, phenomenal addition to the team, which is our new
Head of Business Development.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Who is he? What is he? What is his mission?
Brian has been in sales his entire career. Whereas, Jaime started.
We haven't.
I have. I mean, I had some really menial jobs before games, but nothing professional.
Yeah, me the last 5 years.
Yeah, and so Brian started in sales at a very large corporation and was able to help it continue to grow over many years. And And then, eventually he made a transition to technology because he was very passionate about technology. He thought it was an exciting space and he wanted something new. And his transition to technology basically brought him into the game space. And he was instrumental in getting Havok's business off the ground. Havok is a engine physics and tool maker that was eventually acquired by Microsoft. And I thought, it was really exciting to kind of see what he established at Havok in terms of looking at the company positioning and how it's marketed and how it's then sold to partners around the world. He created a great team there. He continued to manage that team while at Microsoft. And then had another really relevant experience to us when he went to Virtuous. Virtuous is, made its name as one of the largest art providers in the industry.
Yep.
And he continues to do so at a bewildering scale. I think they have more than 1,000 artists. Actually, that number may be low. Maybe they have more than 2,000 artists because it's growing so rapidly, and the demand is fantastic. And Virtuous was run by a European, but it was very much rooted in China as an operation in Shanghai, Xi'an, Chengdu, and I think they have a few other centers now in Vietnam, and the company is now headquartered in Singapore. But Brian came on and helped Virtuous continue to grow. And again, it's invaluable experience. Now, nowadays Virtuous does many different things. It doesn't have quite the shape of Amber. We're a creative agency where we lead with our creative studios in making full games, and also, interestingly enough, offer a full service menu. Anyone that comes to work with Amber, we have the means to cover their business strategy in a turnkey fashion, which I don't think was Virtuous' vision. They branched from games a little bit into development, but they built a very successful company. Brian has been there. He has helped them grow. Most recently, he joined the board of Telltale Games, and had a stint at Roommate, which is another service provider in the industry. His experience aside, what I absolutely loved about Brian is the same quality that I've observed at Jaime, which is real empathy and a certain, ease of expression and true concern for people that you really need to have in an executive team. And so definitely looking forward to putting his acumen to use in the service of our story.
Yeah, look, business development in our world is very difficult to do because we deal in enormous complexity. Sometimes even us ourselves have difficulties understanding what we do, and we are all here in this podcast operations guys, to find somebody like Brian that is able to kind of distill that and also distill what the needs of the client are and put them together. I think it's unique. In the games industry, hey, there are a lot of egos in everywhere, and I'm including myself and Amber and our clients, everybody, and rightfully so, because you have to be valiant to do something new. You're taking risk, and you should be proud of that. To somebody to humbly come to you and say, what is it that you need? And then, oh, that guy knows how to do that. How will that work? Can we put that together and create something that is greater of the parts? I think that is the gift that Brian has. I think he also understands very well the basic infrastructure of sales, and not just in terms of selling, but also what you need to do to make and maintain and recruit a great sales team. And he also understands sales operations very well, and state of the art, the state of the art technology that these days is needed to ensure that you're offering the best service that a client can want. And very, very happy to have Brian. I thought that was brilliant, Mihai.
We should drink to that.
We just got lucky.
But
Yeah,
we're
you
out
mean
of
the tea, right?
non-alcoholic drinks. We're out of
Drugs here.
non-alcoholic drinks. I want to touch. There's one final thing that I want to touch with both of you on, which is this. It's something that came up over and over, and I want. I would ask both of you to take maybe a second and explain the concept of empathy and how this is important to both game development, people management, management in general, business, because it's crucial. Like, and let me start. One of the things that I've learned as I was studying, Mihai, you brought the concept of ideation in Amber. This is where I even learned that the concept exists. So. As I was studying ideation, I learned that one of the most important things to creating successful product is empathy for the user, developing empathy for the user. And there's methods to doing this, right? You're going to study them, you're going to interview them, but most importantly, you need some sort of connection towards them. So that's like in user experience terms, that's like one very basic layer. But I do want to hear, and we're probably going to end on this, I do want to hear both of you as to why is empathy important, especially in game development.
You want to go first?
Sure. Well, so outside of the UX component, empathy is important because it allows you to tell stories that have real meaning and depth. Mm-hmm. And I think, all this quest to immersion, to complete immersion that we are effectively pursuing in the world of video games, needs to have some type of finality. It needs to have underlying substance in order to be truly contributing value to the history of civilization, to humanity at large. We have the power of technology, the power of gods, and we want to tell stories that somehow make us better humans. Mm-hmm. So that's the value of empathy. Empathy translates into our ability as game developers to express, to divine mythology. We are building mythology mm-hmm. today in the most visceral and pervasive way at any moment in history. Nobody had the tools and the means that humanity has at its disposal. And the pinnacle of that, the very bleeding edge, is this combination of arts and science that we mm-hmm. find in games. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I strongly believe in that. It's kind of part of my animating personal ideology to what, makes me excited to invest myself fully and be able to build alongside all of you this amazing company.
Art and science are games. So art and science fused is games, and games is probably the most powerful storytelling medium that we have ever known.
I don't know whether it's the most powerful or not. But it's pretty powerful. I don't know, maybe there will come something that will allow us to tell these interactive stories that we tell in the future that will be more effective than games, but today I cannot find any other way. Look, for me, empathy, I'm gonna riff a little bit on what Mihai said. If you want to convey an emotion or an experience, you need to first be able to understand it on somebody else. So to really get to that pinnacle of art, you needed to understand that. That was true when Van Gogh was painting, and it's true today when we make games. The other reason why empathy is so important, and you touch on it, is because it allows you to build the best teams ever. Because you suddenly understand there is very different people in a game team, and you guys know this. They do so many different things. To have the gift to be able to understand what is common between all of us mm-hmm. and create a common objective from all of the people is the other reason why empathy is the secret of greatness, not just of success. Mm-hmm. Success, everybody does that. Greatness is what you do when you create something that will transcend you and that will still be here when you're gone, which I think is what we're trying to do.
We should end on that. That's beautiful.
Well,
that's it.
Welcome to Amber, Jaime.
Thank you very much, friends. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
And good
That's
night.
it. We're done. We're done. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.